What's popping? You wanna know what? I'm gonna make a, like, push to mute key. Yeah, here we go. So mic or aux. Enable push to mute. Then hotkeys. Fuck you. Well, geez, okay. Oh, mute and unmute. Okay, so push to mute. Add, no. You fucking made me quit GD? What? Why did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I guess this works. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm looking for beans because yes. I agree. Oh my... Dude, what did I do? I don't... Here. He'll make it numlock plus. No. It really just doesn't want to work. Make farming simulators, but crops are animals and animals are crops? Oh, it's because I have it off. Or don't, do I? No? Okay. Here, honestly, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make some minus to mute and that to unmute. So here, let's see if this works. So it does work. Here, let's just double check. Fuck. Yeah, I can literally just mute myself by pressing minus now. That's really useful. Well, I thought this was Roblox. No. I guess welcome to... Let's play I agree. What? Okay, so I'm gonna get I've already played this before. Okay, what shall we name our company? Guys, meme review. We need to get a really good name for a company and a really good name for a player. Guys, this has got to be the best meme ever because this is what we're going to be referred to. Like they'll like talk about us and they'll say like Nintendo. Let's say if we named ourselves Nintendo for some fucking reason, they're just like Nintendo. Name it Walmart. Oh no. You know what? I think this will... Jetty... Games? No. Here. Perfection. Dick. His name is Dick. Oh, no character limit. My dick. Walmart. Dick. Okay, let's just get like the most like stupid fuck. I don't know. All these look pretty normal. Let's go with like my super generic outfit. Okay. Unlock. No. I'm a gnome too. I guess we'll just like replace one from like 3 years ago. Cheat mod? I have a cheat mod? Hell yeah! Say cash value! No! Okay. Well, I think I just... I quit gotcha a long time ago. Well, that's good, because the first is kind of cringe. Add fans, more fans. We need more fans! Ah! More money. Add hype. I don't think I can add hype right now. Add AAA games. Okay. Wait. To add AAA games. Okay. Add research points. We require more research points. Move to final level. Dude, what if we just move to the final level now? To continue to the final level, you need to have at least created one game. God damn it. It's gay and lesbian. Yeah, pretty much. Egg bruh. Government action game. Yes. Before we do this, hire famous developer. I am now a godly developer. Hopefully. Generate a random trend. Okay, you can't generate. Okay. Add all topics. Activate no bug mode. Activate fast research mode. Activate always you need. This is perfection. Oh shit, I lost. When you hack the NASA. Make the world's worst financial decisions. Wait, what the fuck? Yeah, I may have given myself cheat mod. I may have given myself cheat mod by accident. Oopsie. Oopsie poopsie. Damn. I cannot type. What the fuck? That's my guy. That's funny. Okay, so we'll make a rock game. It's gonna be an rock RPG. It's apparently a fucking terrible combo. But I have always activated source. Okay, what's the worst for simulation? Or RPG. What's the worst for RPG? Okay, they're both the same. Well, PC has casual minus, so we'll just get casual, which is also a terrible combo. Wait. Every rock is just terrible for everything. A text-based. A text-based rock casual game. Okay, engine. Oh yeah, I gotta be really high. Clearly it has to be very high. These are the worst financial decisions ever. I'm the only one here. F. Yeah, clearly it's gotta be very high. Also, wait. Yeah, it's working. Interview? Hell yeah. Move our readers are curious. No. Yeah. Hell no. Hello. Hello. Oh. Oh wait. No wait, we don't keep it up, we'll just kinda, I don't know. All the way. There you go. Oh, I should have had no sounds. I should have removed sounds entirely. Even though I have, like, infinite fucking money. Hello, GD Gershon. I may or may not be cheating. Because this is my first game. Haven't even published the game yet. Hey, new office? I just gave myself too much money. Hell yeah. Oopsie poopsie. It's gonna be 10. All 10s. Called it. I activated always have perfect scores. I think you can get an 11. Oh, okay. I guess it's still not. My dick, a newcomer in the game industry. Dude, your dick is a gamer. Pepsi's. Okay. Was such a good start. My dick, Walmart, are sure to gain. What? He cheated. Yeah, I cheated. Move to final level. Rank number what? 100 million. What the fuck? 100 million units. Yes. I also love how I have 4 billion fans some fucking reason. Dude, hell yeah! Moving to final level. Time. We're going to the final level after. Generate random friend. New. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Medium games. I don't know. Oh my god. Draining. Hello, my dick. Hello. Stupidest name for a company ever. Hello, my dick. Buy everything. It's kind of hard to do that, but I'll try. Hang on. Training options available. No one cares. I never use training. Develop equal to oopsie poopsie. Rock casual. Game number 2. Whoa. Oh, it's because I'm still on year 1. Hang on, let's move forward in time. Wait, there's our logo. My dick. What? I can click on this? Oh, never mind. Okay. Cheat mode. Okay, time to move to, like, here. Oh my god. The company was most known for oopsie poopsie. It's so stupid. Good games. 0. Bestseller. Oopsie poopsie. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Custom comp. This is so sad. My dick. No. Oh no. Is all the research gonna. What the fuck happened? What? Yes, hello. What have I done? What is happening? I've broken the game so bad. My dick. Yeah, pretty much. What have I done? I don't even care. Oh my god. Yeah, I think activating team on is a fucking bad idea. Erection Tycoon. Gotta catch me riding dirty. Okay. I literally just picked all your engine reminder. Oh my god. I'm proud of you getting in a video. I know, it surprised me so much. Okay. Pick platform, Jesus Christ. Swap. Just look at that epic PC. GS. Oh yeah, Jet. For you, wait, what? You're welcome for showing the vid. Oh yeah, thank you. That was so amazing when I realized that, or when you showed me that. That honestly just changed me. Swap. Casual. Wait, what is it? Casual plus. This is such a bra momentum. Yeah, pretty much. Hacker. Terrible combo. Basketball. Creeper. Oh man. Jet epically screams. Ah! Mice. Dogs. So good and tasty. Text base. Yes. Oh man. When will you play erection Tycoon? That's actually a thing. So way back in the mine, got a pickaxe swinging from side to side, side to side. This task a grueling one. Nobody gives a shit. Yeah. I don't know. Hi! Ah! No, I'm joking. Okay, good. Oh my god, the hype! Pigeon Tycoon. Dude, yes. I'm not gonna do that. Go. Dev. Dick and Dev. Oh yeah, right. I always have perfect scores. Best gamer emoji? I hate it. A masterpiece. A masterpiece. A masterpiece. A masterpiece. A masterpiece. A masterpiece. They call it so good and tasty. Add 100. James looks at it, grins. Mom smashing his mouse. Mom, unadopted. I wasn't adopted. At least I think. Guys, am I adopted? I'll see you didn't hear that. Just kidding, yes he did. Okay, come on. Come on, you Bobby! Okay.
Chocolate cake. When I was a boy, I had a favourite boy. It was when my mum made boy. Oh, I love.
Oh my god.
Boy, my mum, she says to me, listen, Michael, if there's any left over at the end of the
JK. General chat, now!
take some to...
What? In my server or Polygon Donuts? Or are you joking? Okay.
Guys, this is what dying feels like. Gonna catch me riding dirty.
Skyrim intro! Skyrim intro! Yes! Oh my god, this is amazing. Can you don't with those hands?
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Oh, okay, that's it. Dude, that's what happens.
Cheeseburger? Free cheeseburgers? Free cheeseburger? Oh! Hello?
Oh no, why'd I click on this? Okay. You just said, oh no. If you actually do want to go, I'd rather not. Not right now.
To school tomorrow to have at playtime, or at lunchtime, or at playtime, or at lunch. So I used to go to school with a piece of chocolate boy in my little box, and I'd be walking to school in my little box. Yeah. And I'd get to school, and it would be playtime or lunchtime, and I'd open up the box, take it out. Open up the paper. Gonna well, look at it.
That's where I take that from.
My mum's chocolate boy. Yes. And I went to bed.
Yes.
And I was fast asleep. And then, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I thought, chocolate boy. Maybe I could go downstairs.
BRB. Okay.
No one would know. So I got up out of the bed, along the passage, careful not to tread on the creaky floorboard outside Mum and Dad's bedroom, because if they wake up and find me, I'll be in big trouble, so really quiet. Are they still asleep? Yes. Okay. Along the passage, down the stairs, into the kitchen, open the cupboard and take it out. Just have a little look at it. And then I notice some little crumbs on the plate. So I think if I lick the end of my finger, I could pick up some of those crumbs. Oh yeah, a little sticky And then I notice on the side of the plate, there's some little crumbly bits just falling off. So I think if I take a knife, I could just tidy it up a little bit. No one would notice. Scrunch it all together, and there's the crumbly bits and the sticky bits, and it's all going to go in there. Yeah.
Yes.
And then I noticed that as I've tidied it up a little bit over here, then maybe I could just
even it up a bit over here. So I take the knife again.
And this time, and I've got a whole slice this time. Yeah, and it's all gonna go in there. It's a belly. And now I got the taste of it in my mouth, and I can't stop myself. So I go, and I got all these slices. And I can't stop myself. Oh no!
It's all gone.
Oh no! They're bound to notice now. What am I gonna do? I know. I'll wash up the plate and the knife, and they won't
Know anything about it?
Good thinking. Take the plate and the knife and wash it up. Back up to bed. Up the stairs. Along the passage. Now I know